وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد. The last part we were talking about are the important concept in the life of the da'iyah, the one we invite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we mentioned that it is a requirement for every believer, the requirement for every believer, and it's part of his iman and his faith to enjoy good and forbid evil, and that's where is inscribed the way of the da'wah. The last part that we were talking about, it was about the emotion of the deen and the requirement of the tadayyun, and this is very important subject. We said also we will not have even the time for the class of the da'wah to go in depth of the meaning of the tadayyun. But the tadayyun, as we mentioned last time, it is the way of the implementation of the deen. So the difference between ad-deenu wa tadayyun. Ad-deen is the faith, is the religion. At-tadayyun is the way how to implement it. So between the way of the implementation and the deen itself, there's the way of understanding. And the way of understanding, it includes in it the way of making the interpretation of the text of the deen to implement it. And this is will bring to attention the importance of the rightest or the right reference or the right way to get your deen. In a way, someone wants to implement a text that he read in the book of Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by implementing it. He needs to know how to implement it, even though it seems clear from the text, because it might be other things in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or it might be another ayah that clarified or another ayah that abrogated. So that's the way how what we say comes to the implementation of the deen. This is the tadayyun. This is the tadayyun. And always there's difference between understanding when you read the text and how to implement it. But this is the main subject. But from this subject we extracted the fact when someone, for example, the way he implemented, let's say, alhamdulillah, he implemented in the right way, following the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has come just to open a parenthesis. If someone will ask, which one should I ask for my deen? And if we say we have someone who has a lot of knowledge and someone who has less knowledge, who the one should we ask? It's not the question of the knowledge, to put it like, the priority. The taqwa is the priority. If someone has less knowledge and has more taqwa, that's the one you need to ask. When the Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, at his last moment that asked him, who should ask after you? He said, ask so-and-so. He said, yeah, Imam, he's known, he doesn't have a lot of knowledge. He said, he has taqwa. So he told him, but he doesn't have knowledge. Look what he said. He said, and what we need the knowledge for except to gain taqwa. So someone seek knowledge to increase the taqwa. And then the one who has taqwa, when you ask him, he will have the courage to say, I do not know, because he fears Allah. The one who has less taqwa, he going to find for you a solution because he cannot say, I do not know. There's something inside, kind of arrogance. It might not be arrogance, but something in the nature of the human being. He doesn't want to say, I do not know. As he has the knowledge, he will jump into the fatwa, thinking that he has knowledge, the whole knowledge. Then he going to give the answer more based on his whims than the knowledge. So here, when someone will ask someone who has more taqwa, because he's seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one with more taqwa, he will be very meticulous and very concerned about the answer, because he knows that what he's going to give you is a deen. What he's going to give you is a religion. When the fatwa is a religion, because you take it and you trust it, and when you do it, you're seeking the help of Allah, you're seeking the pleasure of Allah in what you're doing, you're seeking to get close to Allah with that action. So if that action is wrong, your intention is you want to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through that action. So knowing that action, how important is, you need to also put the concern and the importance on from where to get the definition of that action. Here, the resource. So now someone is doing the action good and following, inshallah, the right path and authentic and sound way, but he get into the deen, in a very emotional way, So he has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the gift to multiply his prayer, to do a lot of rak'ah in the day. Now, if he's in the field of the da'wah, and we mentioned this just to as a summary of what we did last time. If he's in the field of the da'wah, he should not make himself the reference for how to implement the deen of Allah. It's like if someone, when someone asks him, give him an advice, he'll ask for advice, you should not tell him what you are doing. So, you want to have khushu' and salah, I'll advise you to make 12 rak'ah before the salah, and in every rak'ah do this, and when you are in sujood, extend your sujood. Maybe this is what you do if you are doing it, but you cannot command it to people because that's not the sunnah. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he gave his recommendation of the sunnah, taking in consideration the whole ummah with their capacity and capability. So the da'iyah, he will keep the emotion of the deen, the strength that he had, that Allah gave him for himself. And then when he advised people, advise them according to their situation. And their situation will be the basics of the deen. How many prayers should we pray? 5 prayers. And you give them the 5 prayers. If there's sunnah, yeah, there's sunnah. But maybe you delay for him the sunnah. You tell him about the sunnah, tell them, but hold on your 5 prayers first. But if someone Allah gifted you with making qiyamul layl, don't tell him, look, there's 5 prayers, but the most important qiyamul layl. But this person only give him such a thing, if he will not make qiyamul layl, he'll think like he's not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is very important in the management of the way of calling and way of advising, to not have your emotion to be the lead into your discussion and into your leading people. Some people, they make this way to be a path. They make this way to be a path. For example, someone who get into a path, or like, let's say, a system of worship extracted from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but he add to it. For example, the Prophet ﷺ told us about the tasbih, 33, 33, 33, 99, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. And then you continue the hadith with la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir. This is what the Prophet ﷺ told us. And this is how it is related to how many hasanat it has and everything. And then when the companion, they came to the Prophet ﷺ complaining about, the people of the Ansar, they have money, and we Muhajirin, especially those Ahlul Sufa, they don't have, what to give sadaqah. So the Prophet ﷺ told them, I can give you some great, way of reward. And he gave them this hadith. So when their brother, wealthy, they heard about it, they start to do the same tasbih. So they came back complaining to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, they are wealthy and now they're doing the thing that we do, like we are poor. So the Prophet ﷺ قال ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء. That the bounty of Allah, He will give it to whom He will. So this hadith is give what someone can do, and which will be fitting everyone's capacity. But if you want to make 1,000, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال يا الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا. Remember Allah much of remembrance. If you want to make 1,000, make 10,000 if you can. But you cannot in a way of the da'wah tell to someone make 10,000. It's open, but this is what the Prophet ﷺ said. So it will be like everyone's effort, but you cannot make it a path. Those who want to make it a path, because they make like, he find himself, for example, get to high level of piety and closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in what he believes. Then when he'd been asked, he said, this is a long path to do it. And he make his own way how he did. For example, in the morning, 1,000 tasbihah, in the duha, another 1,000, the way how to pray, what type of tasbih to do. It make it one, he make it like a specific path. So the one who gonna come, he going to be like the student murid, he need to follow every step slowly. And he make it like this man, I mean this scholar or the sheikh, he the one who governing the whole path is like taking him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what they call tariqah, you know, especially in the kind of the Sufi, some of them are extreme in this path. And this is really, is like you are transforming the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is for everyone and very spontaneous and very well, you know, not very well, it is done in the, according to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is done in the way of a revelation to another path which is assumed that this person get to the higher level, so you only can get to the higher level through this path. That's not the way of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and cannot be also the way of the one who invited to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is a difference between what will fit you as a way to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the other person. Then person, he will have find maybe the fasting will be the greatest way of education for him of his soul. The other person, he find it into the salah. And we know the priority is for the salah because the Prophet ﷺ كانت قرة عيني في الصلاة. My coolness of the eye, the delight of my eye, my rejoicement or joy is in the salah. You know. So this is very important. We took some to explain or to give the example of the path of the tariqah to see how people they come up with it to be for some people it is the way to get to Allah or even to accept Islam. Therefore the day need to be careful in this way to always keep his way of doing and way of acting is free of any type of innovation. Because the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is clear, and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it goes with the common sense. Everyone when it comes, Allah subhanahu the Prophet ﷺ قال إن هذا الدين متين فأوغلوا فيه برفق. This deen is hard, is strong, is deep. It's like a very huge ocean. So when you get to it, don't jump in a way that you don't know you might drown. So أوغلوا فيه برفق, get slowly in it. Because it's a lifestyle. Someone is going to change. And the changing, it takes time. The idea or the emotion, someone when he sees something is attached to it. It can happen in a second. But that emotion will go away. It might fade away also in a second. But that emotion, how to turn it into habit, and then a conduct, and then a thoughts, that will take time. So someone need to take like step by step. So if you are, for example, in the step number 100, and someone asks you while he's in step number 1, you're not gonna give him the requirement of the step number 100. You're going to go back and give him the step number 1. And also, if you are in a step, example, there's no steps 100, but example, If you are step 100, inshallah, huh? Of course, when you say step 100, maybe to get to closer to Allah, there is like an infinite steps. Step number 100. Don't look at those number or like -1 in a way like they are the ugliest people or those are the people of hellfire. Because remember, you were there. So look at them with the eye of the Rahmah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ضربتم في سبيل الله فلا تقولوا لمن ألقى إليكم السلام لست مؤمنا. When you go to do the da'wah in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you might come to facing battles, if someone, when you see him, you overcome the person and you say, I accept the belief, peace, salam, I am a Muslim, I surrender to Allah. Not because you overcome, you look at him, no, you are under us, that's it. You cannot be a believer. Why you say you cannot be a believer? Well, the Prophet ﷺ, this is what he said to Usama bin Zayd, when he had someone under him, and he accepted Islam, but they were fighting. And at the last of the moment of the fight, the person he was fighting him, he was intending to kill him. But at the last moment when he get, to win the fight, he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But Usama, he finished his, for him it's like it's a fight, it's like a duel. He finished and he killed the person. When he came back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet for Usama is called Hibbu ibn Hibbi Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He the most dear to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Son of the most dear to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Zayd. قال قتلته قاتلك الله. May Allah fight you. Imagine. You killed him. قال يا رسول الله ما قالها إلا ليحمي نفسه في معنى الحديث, in the meaning of the hadith. He said, يا رسول الله, he only said it to protect himself, to save himself. Look, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أشققت على قلبه. Do you have an evidence? Did you cut to see what is in his heart? That's why Usama, later on in the fitna of Uthman, and after Uthman and what happened between the companions, he's from those who didn't even have to take part. He said, enough for me what told me the Prophet ﷺ. If someone, I know he was a disbeliever, and he said it, I don't know how he said it, and when I did that, the Prophet ﷺ get mad at me. So now to fight believers, companion of the Prophet ﷺ. قال in the ayah in Surah An-Nisa, قال, how can you say for a person he's not a believer when he asks you, tell you like I'm a believer? Now the problem here, look what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. He said you need to be careful, but remember that you were like that before. كذلك كنتم من قبل فمن الله عليكم. You were like that. You were in step 1. You were in step -1. Who brought you to be in this step, advanced step? Is Allah's gift, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is Allah man, fadl, bounty, mercy. So after you being showered by the blessing of Allah, you want that seed to block it, nobody else will get it. That's the meaning of it. If you are in an advanced step, alhamdulillah, we are believer, everyone else, hellfire. طيب why يا أخي? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create all the humankind. Create them to punish them. He created them subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower them with His mercy. So be the one to call people to the mercy of Allah, not to block the gates of the mercy of Allah. ويقول ابن عباس in one of his narration, it is from the kufr, from the action of the kufr, to من يقنط من رحمة الله, who make people, have them to to lose hope or despair from the mercy of Allah, it's an action of kufr. It's an action of kufr. So this is very important in the way of the da'iyah. This is very important in the way of the da'iyah, to look at the people as we come in. So it's not, for example, to make the categorization of the people by this is non-believer, this is hypocrite, this is a sinner. No. Look at everyone, as there's a potential for him for the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah will guide him. That's the most important thing. So someone, he will build a strategy of da'wah, including everyone. Not to say, oh, these people, a'udhu billahi, in hellfire, don't even talk to them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him, and he's to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming back. And we explained last time, inshallah, for the strategy of the da'wah, we'll talk about it, inshallah. So this is what we say, instead of categorizing people into believers, disbelievers, followers, innovators, the da'iyah must put a plan of da'wah that includes all the people. The next chapter is for us as a da'iyah to understand the system of Islam. Understanding the system of Islam comes first to say what is Islam in the beginning. What is Islam in the beginning? Because people sometimes following faith, when you ask them what is, for example, Christianity, what is Judaism, what is, so they may not have the answer. For us, for example, say what is Islam? Because if you are following Islam, we need to have the understanding of the meaning of Islam. But all of you, mashallah, of course, you know the meaning of Islam. And the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam. When Jibreel alayhi salam came to ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the question, when he said, this is Jibreel came to teach you your deen, one of the questions he said, what is Islam? And the Prophet ﷺ answered the question by saying the 5 pillars of Islam. شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وصوم رمضان وحج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. But the Prophet ﷺ here, he gave us the pillar of Islam. The pillar of Islam. It's like the core of Islam, who will structure your action so you can live your life in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fully surrendered to Allah. Because in the witness of faith, to testify there is no God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is Islam. That is Islam. But when we're talking about in the way of the da'wah, if someone will ask you about Islam, will you give him this definition? That's how, the da'iyah, he need to know the system of Islam from all its perspective, so he will give the right definition that will, be the most convenient to the one who is asking the question. We can go through some of the definition that the Musannaf here in this book is introducing. One of the definition also, Islam is the submission and the surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the God of the worlds. And in this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ali Imran, in the ayah number 83, قَالَ أَفَغَيْرَ دِينِ اللَّهِ يَبْغُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and he's like questioning, do they, preferring other than the way of Allah, other than the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are they asking, they're seeking other than the religion of Allah? وَلَهُ أَسْلَمْ, and to him surrendered, and to him submitted, whatever in the heavens and whatever in the earth. طوعا, willingly, أو كرها, unwillingly, are those who are fully subjected to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him they will return, subhanahu. And when we say willingly and willingly, or unwillingly, the willingly in the field of the choice, and the unwillingly those who Allah created them to fulfill a task into the creation. Even though we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asked the heaven and the earth to have the choice or to not have the choice, because having the choice, it will be responsible on the trust that will be given. Not having the choice, you will be secured, just fulfilling the task, and fulfilling the task will be equivalent to the fulfilling of the servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sun is doing all what he's doing. Whatever the sun rises, that's worship. Whatever the sun says, that's a worship of Allah. And it making his all tasbih and sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but fulfilling his task. ألم ترى أن الله يسجد له من في السماوات ومن في الأرض والشمس والقمر والنجوم. Don't you see that everything subjected, prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heaven and the earth, and the sun. How the sun is doing? By fulfilling his own course according to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anything in the heaven and the earth, they had the capability to choose the trust. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا. Allah give this amana, the trust, to the heaven and the earth and the mountain. They said no, they refused. وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا, they get scared. And who took the amana to fulfill it is the man. Just an observe, between parentheses, to see how if the heaven, they have the choice, what will happen? If the heaven, they have the choice, there will be awliya lillah or awliya lil insan. There will be following and supporting the cause of Allah, or will be friend to the human being. Will be friend to who? Allah, of course.
Allah
To Allah. Why the heaven will be with the human being? Human being is only annoying the heaven by his swearing and by his bad words and by all the pollution he's causing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال تكاد almost. And takadu, it's not like something from fiction or imagination, so something that is really possible to happen. قال Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioning those who are insulting Allah by attributing for Him a son. He said, قال, almost the heaven is going to collapse and the earth to get earthquake, and for the whole mountain to break or to dissolve, because they call for Allah's son. وقالوا اتخذ الرحمن ولدا لقد جئتم شيئا إدا تكاد السماوات يتفطرن منه وتنشق الأرض وتخر الجبال هدا أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا. How this ayah can we understand it? Almost everything is going to collapse. Which is mean, if the heaven, they have the choice, thus they will be acting towards a blasphemy announced openly against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the believer, he cannot stand such a thing in life. At least with his heart he's denying it. And he's with his da'wah and his action, he's calling to say, مَا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. Allah never took a son. But just to see that everything submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything. Also look at the case of the fire with Ibrahim alayhi salam. If it had the choice, he would never had burned Ibrahim, but the intervention of the Most High subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it cool at peace. And for the sea for Musa alayhi salam, etc., etc., etc. So al-Islamu is like, when you look at it from this perspective, is to surrender, to submit someone's will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to join the whole creation in this submission. That's Islam. And this is, it might be a perspective for people who look, a very global or universal vision of a religion. Then you get them out from a very small region when you think like Islam is all about Arab. It never was about Arab. We have someone who came, he accepted Islam, he wrote a book, he was in the army, and originally he's from Asia. He said, the first time I went to Mecca after I accepted Islam, I was shocked. All my idea changed. He said, I found the majority of the people around the Haram are from my own people, are Asian. So I said, why people then? They said, Islam is about the Arab. This is just an idea, because people, when they talk, about the Prophet ﷺ being born in Mecca, so the mentality is only Arab who own this religion. And some people, they believe it's like the Muhammad, like in some of the early translation of the Quran done by al-Mustashriqeen, they call it the Muhammadan religion, which is like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They want to, give the idea like he's like Jesus for them. So this definition take, someone out from a very limited, restricted vision to an universal perspective, to show Islam heaven and earth and sun and moon and stars and mountains and ashjar, trees and everything are prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Add to it some of the human being, and you ask to the person, and may Allah make us from those some of the human being. Another definition that also can Islam be defined as a system of laws and ruling that organize the whole way of life. So it's like a system of rules, of moral, of etiquette, of behavior, which define the way of acting, and a way of acting leading everyone who implement it to find what he's looking for, his joy in life, his happiness, in this life and in the hereafter. So it's like a system of moral, of rules, of laws, implemented in the field of action to help someone achieve his happiness in this life and in the hereafter. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. Whoever who will get other than Islam as a way of life, he will not be accepted from him. And he will be in the end from al-khasirin, from the losers. If someone will be asking kind of question of related to the existence, we say Islam is the answer to the main three questions that really make all philosophers to ponder and to reflect and to find the solution or the answer to this question. From where we came from, why we are here, and where are we going? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered the first question In Surah Al-Hajj, ayah number 8, ayah number 5, قال بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس إن كنتم في ريب من البعث فإنا خلقناكم من تراب. O you mankind, if you are in doubt of the resurrection, look, we have created you from turab, from dust, from clay. ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة ثم من مضغة مخلقة وغير مخلقة لنبين لكم. And then Allah said the stages of creation from nutfa, the blood clot, and turn it into all the steps of the creation, the alaqa, the mudgha. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to clarify it for you. وَنُقِرُّ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ مَا نَشَاءُ إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى. And Allah decree in the wombs to an appointed term what He will subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we get you out as a tifl, a baby child. Then لِتَبْلُغُوا أَشُدَّكُمْ, then to get your strength. And then some of you, they died at that time. And some of you, they die, very old. All of that, to take from where we came from. We came from dust. There is something, that how we came from. So it's not like you came from ape, or you came from, from mix of random atoms, in the sea for millions years that come up with certain creation that turn into later on to ape and then to man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you from where you came. And you come back to turab. Because when someone after buried, you're gonna come back turn into turab. You're gonna turn into dust. Go open the graves for those who saying he cannot come back from turab. Other ayat you can see also the same ayah who describing this. قال Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فَخَلَقْنَا الْمُضْغَةَ عِظَامًا. We created mudgha into bones. Then we covered the bone with the flesh. Then we created them totally different creation. فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. So you came, who created you? Allah, the best and the greatest of the creation of the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. الذي أحسن كل شيء خلقه. This is ayah in Surah Al-Sajdah, ayah number 7 to 9. The one who perfected everything He created, and He started the creation of man from clay, and then He make his nasl, his offspring, his lineage from sulalatun min ma'in mahin, from the mix of the water of the man and the woman. Then سواه ونفخ فيه من روحه, and the ruh, the soul. This is will be the big question mark for everyone who thinking of the origin of the creation, the question of the soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned the creation, but the soul is something else. The soul is something else. ثُمَّ نَفَخَ فِيهِ مِن رُوحَهُ. So everyone, he has this ruh to be blown in him. Nothing have to do with the creation. And the soul existed long time before even the bones or the water comes to be, developed into the womb of the mother. Why? Because we know that there is this fitrah that we have, He's already met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah took from the back of the sons of Adam, which is coming from Adam, from their ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ, all their offspring, into in DNA or in a form that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would to talk to them, and which will be the existence of the soul. وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ. And He witnessed them on themselves, I'm not your Lord. قَالُوا بَلَى شَهِدْنَا أَن تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. They said, yes, Ya Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَدْ شَهِدْنَا, that in the day of judgment you say we were heedless on that. We are in Surah Al-A'raf, nice maybe to read the translation of it. Here. And remember when your Lord brought forth from the children of Adam from their loins their seed, or from Adam's loins his offspring, and made them testify as to themselves, saying, Am I not your Lord? They said, Yes, we testify. Lest you should say on the day of the resurrection, Verily we have been unaware of this. Surah Al-A'raf, Ayah 172. Surah number 7 and the Ayah 172. One beautiful ayah, which is Surah Al-Insan, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two names. Surah Al-Insan, the surah of being man, and the other name, Surah Al-Dahr, the time. And combine Dahr and time. Combine Dahr and, Dahr, which is the time, and Al-Insan, which is the man. The Dahr, the time, is created by Allah as the field or the realm. Inside it or within the time will going to happen the trial of the man that being created, being a happening creation into the time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in a beautiful way, said, هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Has there not been over man a period of time when he was nothing to be mentioned? He wasn't created at all. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, how we brought him to creation. إِنَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ نَبْتَلِيهِ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. We have created man from nutfa, drop, semen, etc. In order to try him, so we made him hearer and seer. إِنَّ هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ, to the end of the ayat. So this is where we came from. And there's a lot of ayat in the Quran to give the evidence of what we came from. وَمَا يَشْهَدُ بِآيَاتِنَا إِلَّا كُلُّ خَتَّارٍ كَفُورٍ. And whoever would deny this is someone who denied his own self. طيب inshallah. We'll stop and we'll go back after the prayer to continue with the questions. So we said, we'll continue with you what we were saying. Islam, one of the definition of Islam is the answer of the most, or like the principal question of the existence from where we came from. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. And to have a supreme being, the divine subhanahu wa ta'ala, to tell us that he created us. This is one of the expression of his infinite mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if someone say, for example, who doesn't believe in any of these things, you say he came like all, by coincidence to this universe. I mean, the coincidence itself, it doesn't make any sense. But living here with all the intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided to humankind, and all what they did, the achievement of this people when they, are proud of this great achievement in technologies and everything. Say, okay, how, and then what after that? Like الدهريون, they said, قالوا إن هي إلا حياتنا الدنيا نموت ونحيا وما يهلكنا الدار. It's only our life, we live and we die, and only time is the one who's killing us, or يهلكنا, make us to ruin. That's the only thing each time. It's like there is no will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The simple question, why someone want to live longer all the time? Why someone want to have more all the time? It doesn't make sense. I mean, if someone want to live longer, there is no way to live longer. There's no way to have more. More those feelings that we already have embedded in us are also an evidence that there is a life after this life, where your own feeling that you want to have, to achieve, you will have them. You want to live for eternity? Yes. That feeling that you have, the love to live for eternity, because there's a possibility to live. Actually, it's not a possibility. That's, you were created for that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling you, so this is a test. You came from, I created you. I created you to shower you with my mercy. And I created you to have a mission, and this mission is going to be a trial to show that you are worthy of the great gift of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The feeling that you have is embedded to you by creation. You want to live for eternity? Yes, in the Jannah, you were created for Jannah, for eternity. You want to have everything, you have this motivation to build, to do things. Just, have all your imagination to have to implement everything in your imagination. When you are in Jannah, you want to have a castle in the air without pillar attached to the ground, you will have it. This is an evidence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, from where we came from, He said, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ إِلَى آخِرِهِ وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ تُرَابٍ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in the ayat that we mentioned. The second question, what is the purpose of our creation? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered in Surah Al-Dhariyat, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I only created the jinn kind and the mankind to worship me. And the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not limited or restricted to the action of worship known from salat and fasting and hajj and zakat. The worship of Allah is the action of the good in the way of Allah, seeking with it the pleasure of Allah. That is worship. Everything. Your sleep is a worship, because you are paying the right for the body that require rest. But the rest, not to wake up to do injustice, rest to wake up to do good. To act good in life, to build whatever, contribute for the good, to help, to call for the good, and all of it in the way of Allah, because only Allah calls for the good. And the ahkam of the sharia being revealed to act within the good, with the good, and the purpose to achieve the good. That is the sharia. So the worship in its vast definition, all the action of the human being, all the action of the human being in his life is a worship. As long as when he starts say Bismillah, and when he finishes, he say Alhamdulillah, and he say with the tawfiq of Allah, with the help of Allah. And that is how it make it to be worship. So your intention, the same action, you getting, the nicest car, the nicest toy you want. It will be part of the gift of Allah to you, because that thing you want to use it is something that is going to help you to preserve your integrity, to make you happy, to have more concentration in salah, to be more joyful with your family. So that's a gift for you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the joyful life. It is really the fruit of the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, قَالَ مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا min dhakarin aw untha wa huwa mu'min. Whoever who will do acts in good or do good deeds, male or female, and he's a believer. So the ground, the foundation of the initiation of all the action are believing in Allah. Because you can gain the most difficult knowledge possible, for example, in physics. When the ground is the iman, the belief in Allah, you're going to use it to help and contribute in achieving good. You're not going to use it to make like weapon to erase the planet Earth, the face of the planet Earth. You see? So the ground, the foundation of the initiation of the action in the iman, وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَلَنُحْيِيَنَّهُ حَيَاةً طَيِّبَةً. So this is wa'd. And qasam, both promise and Allah swearing. We will make him live a joyful life. So the fruit of the ubudiyyah, the result of the ubudiyyah, the servitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the joyful life that every single human being and jinn being, he's looking forward to having this life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I created you to shower you with my mercy, and then giving you all the way is like a constitution, how to behave, how to conduct, how to do your action, for Allah to guarantee for you a joyful life. Someone will give you the key of a garden. Said, I need food, I need this, I need shelter, I need shelter. This is the key. Go to this address. Just turn on the key and enter, you find everything. Now if you don't have the right map, and then you don't have the right direction, and you don't have the right key, even if you get to the garden, you cannot unlock the door. Why? Because you don't have the right key, you're going to break it. So the key on the map is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. It's very simple. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I only created them to worship me, to have this result of a joyful and happy life. And for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to worship them. So إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, some people they call it when they have disease in their heart, is like, look, God He created us just to worship Him. To worship Him, Allah doesn't need your worship. Because if He needed your worship, you might think that. But as Allah doesn't need your worship, so your worship to Him is your happiness. Is His rahmah to you. So He created you to have you this joyful and happy life and shower you with His blessing and rahmah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question number 3, and why this is why we are here, and when we come going back, where we going to end. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it in the beginning of Surah Al-Inshiqaq, يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. You are striving, a hard strive, for the end you're going to meet your Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the path of the striving, you choose it. You can choose, you strive, someone run all his life for extra couple of dollars, or someone run all his life for a higher position at work, or in any type of, any type of system, organization, in politics, or in a position of academic position, or work position. Someone, subhanAllah, he make all his life is that. Or to strive to please Allah. You choose. But no one is at rest. Everyone is striving. No one. No one is sleeping 24 hours. Everyone is striving. And the one who's striving, not striving with his body, with his mind. He's always thinking. So, the biggest, weapon, if we're going to say, hurtful weapon, which is, this weapon is among the soldiers of Allah. And the hurtful weapon is al-hammu, worries, anxiety. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descended on people, al-ham. قال يا أيها الإنسان إنك كادح إلى ربك كدحا فملاقيه. You're going to meet Him. So imagine, everyone is going back to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's not going to be consumed by the earth and then lost in the earth and never come back. Everyone is going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده ثم إليه ترجعون. Allah start the creation. And then Allah will do the creation. Bring it back to creation. then to him you'll come back. ثم إلى ربكم مرجعكم فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. And then to your Lord you return, and He's going to tell you what you have done. وإن إلى ربك المنتهى, and to your Lord is the end. إن إلى ربك الرجعى, to your Lord is the comeback. And within this perspective, for anyone who's lost, who have a lot of questions, it makes very common sense with his own feeling that he feels. Ask someone, say, why do you want to live longer? And people say, I don't want to live. I tell you, so you have a problem even within yourself. You don't want to live because you have this problem of anxiety, and like you lost hope. But what if I present for you a solution when to reestablish your hope? It's not nice. He will listen to you. And the beauty about this perspective and the perspective of Islam is the person himself with Allah. You're not gonna, enforce something, or you be like the one who's gonna be intermediate between you. No. When you give him the information and you open his mind, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open his heart, he will find it like subhanallah smooth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever will come to him, open for him the door of the guidance. Another definition of Islam, it is also represent the real soul for the human being and the light that guide him in his life, and it is the healing for all the problem he has, spiritual problem, heart problem. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ash-Shura, ayah 53. Surah Ash-Shura, ayah 53. Inshallah. Surah Ash-Shura. (52 and 53). وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا. And thus we have sent to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's get another translation here. Yusuf. Sent inspiration to you. Ruhan is also a soul. It's alive, like the inspiration. Let's see. أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا. By our command we sent down to you a ruh. And the ruh is like a soul. A ruh who contains the life. Jibril alayhi salam called a ruh. And the life that blown in our bodies to give us, make us human being, that we speak, we think, and we act, is named the ruh. And Allah called the same thing, the book of Allah, the revelation, called it ruh. So the ruh is the life, which means the man without the Quran, he doesn't have a life. And when we're talking about, for example, anything that you do, you actually plan and build the objective of the device before you create or give the let's say the form of the device. Huh? So for example, a device like this, it's not about its form, about what it's doing, right? So the life of the device is what you It's presenting you things you do. So that's the light. But if it's like this tablet, it doesn't, turn on. It doesn't help you. It's like it's a piece of glass with some steel. That's it. You cannot even decorate it. It doesn't help you. It doesn't have any objective. The life of a human being is what he's going to do as content, what he's going to present. That tools that Allah gave him is to be, used by the teaching of the Quran to become alive. I'll give you an evidence from the Quran. Surah Al-Rahman, how it starts? Ar-Rahman, then علم القرآن, then خلق الإنسان. So it's like Allah taught the Quran the life, then created the man, the form. You see? So Allah subhanahu كذلك خلق أوحينا إليك روحا. So this is what's going to give life. They give the right, purpose and light, like, let's say, have the man, his content of action to be real life that contribute in the well-being or achieving the well-being of the universe is only by the Quran. So وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا. So Islam, it is the life of the human being. It's the life. It gives him life. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Or you believe, answer the call of Allah and His Messenger when they call you to what give you life. So what gives us life is the revelation, is the ruh, is the Quran. وما معه سنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان. Look, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us His rahmah. You didn't know not what the scripture was, nor what the faith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't know all that. What is the scripture, the book that is carrying in it all this meaning of the soul and this message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have made it a light. We made it a light. جَعَلْنَاهُ نُورًا. And the light, subhanallah, look, a light, when subhanallah you turn on the light, it goes in all the space. So when you have darkness and you switch a light, and subhanallah, like the darkness disappears suddenly. That's subhanallah a dead and alive. So the life is done by the light. So imagine subhanallah, inside the soul is all dark and you switch the light. And the light is like for the eye. Without the light you cannot guide yourself to go to your destination. Without the light you cannot see, you cannot walk, etc. etc. وكذلك جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط المستقيم. And you are guiding to the right path, the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to whom belongs all that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth. Verily all the matters at the end go back to Allah. وَإِلَى اللَّهِ تَصِيرُ الْأُمُورِ. Everything is traveling back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very clear, mashallah. Allah in another ayah in Surah Yunus say, وَنُنَزِّلُ in Surah Al-Isra, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We are sending down in the Quran what is a healing and a mercy for the believer. قُلْ هُوَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا هُدًى وَشِفَاءٌ. Say this Quran for the believer is a guidance and a healing. And a healing, subhanallah. this, when you combine all this definition, no definition is conflicting or contradicting the other one. All of them, they complementing each other, but the da'iyah will choose the right definition that will be convenient to the one who asking the question. If someone, for example, he has a problem of believing in the existence, or someone who's like feel like suffocated, he's totally lost hope from this life, the definition we're going to give him, like definition of Islam, of hope, of rahmah, of like the big perspective of the deen. But if I tell you, said, what your Islam, your religion says, about life, or what is your religion is about. If you're gonna tell him our religion, we pray 5 times a day, we do the siyam, he will going to listen to you, he going to appreciate it, because you say, these people, they devoted to their faith, but you're not gonna help him. You're not gonna help him. But if he'll ask you, for example, about the salah, said, why do you pray? Then you have to find the answer that really convenient to his, I will not say his thoughts, because you cannot read his thoughts, but to the perspective. If someone he's in a state of anxiety, of worry, he's doubting everything around him, the salah, you tell him that's the place where someone is recharging his hope, his energy, his joy, his happiness. Then he's going to think of it, salah, to something else. Something else. That's why many people, subhanAllah, when they come to Islam, they come because of the salah. But unfortunately, you have people sometimes in our masajid, they don't welcome these people, because when he come, he want to meet Allah. Okay. He might not know how to pray. But our people, unfortunately, they are very harsh on those who they do not know how to pray. So you find someone, for example, standing. From standing, he jump into sujood. He feel like the most place he's attached to meet God, that he's the first time he's meeting, who just come to know. And one of the people see him doing that, he said, that happened. I'm talking about things that happened, unfortunately. So he came after he finished, he told him, brother, he told him, your salat is not accepted, because you were doing it wrong. This person got deeply hurt. He just converted to Islam. He wanted to meet Allah. And the brother telling him, your salat is not accepted. So he realized that's his understanding. So if you do not this form, so is that God doesn't accept you at all. So you are rejected. So all what he's doing, God didn't look at him. He fully ignored him. So what he heard about the mercy of God in Islam, the connection of God in Islam, is not existing. Why? Because this person didn't know how to address it. While if someone tell him, what you were doing, you'll ask him, and he's gonna say, this is how I meet God. He said, this is a great thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us the way to be uniform, to have the way how to say it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us every details that the Prophet ﷺ taught us. If you want, inshallah, we'll meet together and we'll help you. So he will be happy. Why? Because he's happy here. You're going to show him a path to be happier. But he's happy here, the way you address to him, to, just ravage his moral and like hurt his feeling, so he will see like the happiness he got, you invited him to something that he's going to be sad. And unfortunately many people, they run away from Islam because of some remarks like that. and one of the author he wrote, he come into, he's reverted to Islam. He's mashallah, he's very good, he has very good insight. So someone told him, from the people of the masjid, you know, those I might call al-Rukniyun, like Imam Sahnoun he used to call, those who always sit in the corner just hunting for problem and criticizing people. So this person comes on they see him coming in Maghrib and Isha. You know, he might be busy, but as he's a new revert, you can see that he doesn't understand Arabic. So he told him, why you come only for Maghrib and Isha? You don't understand even what he's reciting. I mean, what this kind of observation? But the answer of this man, it's like a beautiful answer that it make like, subhanallah, to be a principle for all of us and a teaching for all of us. He told them, you know, when the mother speaking to her baby, the baby doesn't understand, but he feels secure and safe and mercy of his mother by only speaking to him. Tell them that's what I feel when I listen to the Quran. So he make him like, so this person revert, he's a man with knowledge, he made a lot of studies, he's teaching the one who's born in Islam. But not anybody or everybody like this one. And this one I'm talking about, he's an author who wrote it in one of his books. I'll bring you his name, inshallah. Not everybody, so we need to be careful. And this is why we're talking about the definition of Islam, to just for us know the beauty of Islam, so we can share the beauty of Islam in the best way that it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a very sensitive way, because these things are very sensitive. Very sensitive. You know, someone who wrote me an email, you'll be amazed of things because we learn, subhanallah. Told me, I think you notice I don't come anymore to the masjid. And personally, I don't remember the brother. That he's a revert. He said, to tell you the truth, because something we were talking, I think in the khutbah of Jumu'ah, talking about type of this problem. So he said, I don't want to hide it anymore. I'm going to tell you I was beaten in the masjid and I cannot come anymore. So I said, how can, this happen? But further, he explained. He said, one time I was passing and someone was praying, he hit me with his fist. So I said, La hawla wa quwwata. This person doesn't know. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, someone who cross in front of you when you pray, قال فَاتْفَحُ, if he doesn't, he insists, فَقَاتِلْهُ. And this hadith, it has its explanation. Doesn't mind fight him. If not, someone gonna have like a sword ready, and everyone who cut his face and put the sword back and say, Allahu Akbar. That's not right. You are in salat with Allah. You are in peace, subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ, so it seems that this new rebirth came to the masjid, he loved this masjid, and this brother who was praying, when he crossed in front of him, he hit him with his fist. He left, he didn't come back. He said this masjid, he doesn't know this hadith. How will come to his mind that in salat might someone do such a thing? So he thought that he'd been threatened. This is what he thinks. So from his iman, I realized something that no one of us will have ever thought about that. He thought that these people, they're not, respectful. That these people, they might hit you or kill you anytime. It goes with they see in the mainstream in the news.
No.
So if he did this for him and he hit you with his fist, so if you do something else, what they're gonna do? So what they're saying in the news is right.
يمكن even if they saw it.
This is happening here, by the way. You see how sensitive and how big is the responsibility we have. How big is the responsibility? Right. The pillars of Islam. Go in very, this is in understanding the system of Islam. The pillars of Islam are three. I mean, according to the understanding of the Dawah, of course. The first is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Actually, the first is La ilaha illallah only. And the core and the heart of La ilaha illallah is understanding the meaning of the ubudiyyah to Allah, the servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the understanding of the servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala depends on our understanding how are we poor to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The understanding of the ubudiyyah comes in the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuha nasu, O you mankind, antumul fuqara'u ila Allah. You are the poorest to Allah. Wallahu wal-ghaniyul hamid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the all independent, the all rich. Al-Hamidu, one of the meaning of Al-Hamid, that he's been praised by his own name subhanahu wa ta'ala. So doesn't need anyone to praise him to have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feel like he is the greatest. Allah is already the greatest, and no hamd will add on his greatness, and nothing will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make need Allah to be praised. Because his names are praising him. When we say Ar-Rahmanu, so he is the infinite, subhanallah, into mercy. So praising Ar-Rahman, the name of Ar-Rahman is already auto praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Maliku auto praising Allah. So is Al-Hamid. The more we understand this, the more because someone, when he's praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is kind of in his mind a distance. Some people, they think that not making a favor, but they doing good by praying. Alhamdulillah, we're praying, you know. So it's like he fulfilled all his rights. But there's a step farther. Hold on. You're praying. It's Allah who brought you to pray. Not you decide to pray. Hold on. What if Allah didn't bring you to pray? What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't guide your heart? What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make you to know Him? The more you go deeper in this thinking of the gift of Allah on you, the more you feel and you live the servitude to Allah. The more you feel the meaning of La ilaha illallah in your life. So La ilaha illallah said, oh yes, there's only one God creator. But it goes to La ilaha illallah, the only one who allows you to be guided to make sujood to Him. Only Him. Then you feel how poor you are to Allah and in need to Allah. Subhan. If you make the slightest one single sin, the smallest it can be, and you make thousands or billions of hasanat, not hasanat, I'm sorry, of good action. That small sin, it might be what is going to make someone to be doomed in the hereafter. Why? Because the billion of action that you did, who telling you that Allah is going to accept them? And this small sin, who tell you that He's going to forgive it? La ilaha illallah, He the only one who accepts the deeds. La ilaha illallah, He the only one who forgives sins. No one else. وَمَنْ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. So this is the first rukn for the da'iyah to understand. La ilaha illallah. And the most dangerous action or the most dangerous fact in the life of the da'iyah is when he doesn't know the meaning of La ilaha illallah. When he used La ilaha illallah like in a very casual way, it's like, oh, there's God exists and God doesn't exist. It's not that. It's so deep. It's La ilaha illallah in your thought, La ilaha illallah in your emotion, La ilaha illallah in your action. So when you call to La ilaha illallah, you call with this taste of the ubudiyyah that we are describing in few words. That's La ilaha illallah. So when you call someone to La ilaha illallah, it has that taste of rahmah, the taste of submission, the taste of humbleness, of humility to Allah. All that is when we say this is the first pillar, what is La ilaha illallah. The second pillar of course, just to give small definition, is shahadatu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, the witness that the Prophet ﷺ, he is the messenger of Allah. The shahada is the second pillar in Islam. I mean, the rukn, we're not talking about the pillar, the five pillars. This is from different perspective. It's like the Islam hold on. La ilaha illallah, the second, wa ashhadu wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is meaning that the knowledge and the belief, to know, to accept, and to believe that the Prophet ﷺ is the messenger of Allah. Which means the path to Allah must be only taken through the way of the Prophet ﷺ. That's the meaning of the second pillar. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah is the path to Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. No other path. And the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that complete the path of all the prophets. So the Prophet ﷺ is the seal of the Prophet to contain and to single the path to Allah of all the Prophet in his path sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if someone loves Isa alayhi salam, the love of Isa need to go through the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The love of Musa the same. The love of Ibrahim the same. So he the path sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go to all those you love. And the highest is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If someone wants to go to Isa through what he thinks directly by, putting on the side the Prophet ﷺ, Isa will not accept him. Because as Isa told you, didn't I tell you, وَيَأْتِي مِنْ بَعْدِ رَسُولٌ نَبِيٌّ مِنْ بَعْدِ اسْمُهُ أَحْمَدٌ. I told you, you have to follow this Ahmad so you can get to me. To Isa alayhi salam, to love them back, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all judge. But to give it as a drawing for anyone who believe in Musa alayhi salam, says, do you love Musa alayhi salam? For Musa to love you back, you have to love the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقًا وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقًا لَمَا أَتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ عِندِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ لَتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنصُرُنَّهُ. Behold, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the covenant from all the prophets. Did I not provide for you the book and the wisdom? And now if a prophet come to you that fulfilling what he has, what you have, and he had the same thing that you have, you believe in him, and you will give him help, and you follow him. Every prophet get this covenant. قَالَ أَقْرَرْتُمْ. You confirm that, and you witness that. قالوا شهدنا وأقررنا in Surah Ali Imran. So every prophet, he already get the covenant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam if he comes in his time. And then Isa alayhi salam already gave the covenant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that when he comes back he will be follower of the Sharia of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because in the last Sharia. And he will be calling to Islam. And he's saying, أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And of course, the Risala of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم doesn't conflict with any of the messenger. Indeed, believing in the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, it means that we believe in all the prophets. We believe in all the prophets. When someone will ask, so what is our duty to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What are the rights of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on us? The first one is at-ta'a, to obey him sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he's our path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Obey Allah and His Messenger that you may be showered by His mercy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال مَنْ يُطِعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهُ. Whoever who obeyed the Prophet, so he indeed obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ. Say, obey Allah and His Messenger. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا. If they turn away, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْكَافِرِينَ. Allah does not like the rejectors of faith. So the one who disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is a rejecter of faith. إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا. The saying of the believer when they are called to Allah and His Messenger to fulfill an action to their command, they say we hear and we obey, and those are the successful. وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة. This is in Surah Al-Ahzab. Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 36. It's very good ayah. وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَن يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. It wasn't for a believer man or a believer woman. When Allah and His Messenger, they decree a matter to have anything to do or to do anything else or to implement anything of their will, they do not have the choice except to fulfill the command of Allah and His Messenger. Our rights, and we finish with this bi'idhnillah ta'ala in very summarized way. We can continue next time if you want. The rights of the Prophet ﷺ on us. The first one, to love him more than we love ourselves, our children, our parents, our wealth, and everyone else. That's the right of the Prophet. This is the requirement of Iman. The second one is to respect him, to venerate him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال لا تجعلوا دعاء الرسول بينكم كدعاء بعضكم بعضا. It's like when someone calling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would not call him like he calling his friend or calling his brother. Hey, come, no. With the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone need to lower his voice and everything. And even at the presence of his grave, when someone go to greet the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he knows when he says Assalamu alaikum, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to answer him back. He will have in a low voice and very respected way. That's one of the rights of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or our duties toward the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The third one is to be far away and avoid any way to hurt the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or to bother the Prophet in any way. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Those who bother the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or hurt the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have a grievous penalty. Like to talk ill about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or to people, they ridicule some of the saying of the Prophet ﷺ or criticize it or things like that. All of that is from Ida in Nabi ﷺ. And the Ida of the Prophet ﷺ actually leads to kufr. Leads to kufr, insult the Prophet ﷺ or diminish the Prophet ﷺ from his greatness. All of it is things that lead to disbelief. The fourth one is to send our blessing on the Prophet ﷺ as Allah commanded us. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. The next one, which is as much important as the previous one, is to not mix and confuse the rights of Allah with the rights of the Prophet ﷺ. To not confuse the attributes of Allah with the attributes of the Prophet. The Prophet ﷺ, he is the messenger of Allah, but he is a human being. He cannot have the attribute of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. We love him more than we love ourselves, but our love should not lead us to overdo things, to be extreme in his love, to give him attribute of lordship, to give him the attribute that he answered dua, to give him the attribute that we refer to him for help. No, that's conflict with the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the hadith of the Prophet, قال لا تطروني كما أطرت النصارى عيسى بن مريم. Don't overflat me in a way as the Christian they did with Isa alayhi salam. We'll stop here bi'idhnillah. We'll continue from this part, and next time we'll try to do the characteristic of Islam that are very important bi'idhnillah ta'ala as a subject. If you have a question, jazakumullah khair. If not, we finish.